everyone. Welcome to another episode of the Hollywood Knitter Podcast. My name is Allison, and I'm recording from my home in Los Angeles, California, and it is Saturday, March 9th, 2019. How's everyone doing? It's been a bit since my last podcast, probably about 6 weeks. I had a ton of things happening in February, and I just haven't had time to sit down until now, and that's how it goes. I was also waiting for a beautiful day. We've had a lot of rain in Los Angeles lately, which is good, but I like to have a beautiful sunny day so that I can have some natural light to record by. My cat, because I've started talking, is down here, so you might hear her. Yep, you might hear her a little bit. Anyways, I thought I would share what's been going on. I got a bit of knitting to share, a bit of talking about my recent travels, and yeah, so let's get started. FOs, first up, my Socktober socks. I have two actually. They're done. These are Query yarns in the Socktober 2016 colorway that I bought then to do them. And taking it off my sock blocker already. That's not what I mean to do. Anyways, I use the Sockmaticians Toe Up pattern. This is what I'm doing because I have a high instep, and this actually has a gusset and a ton of a heel turn. I'm trying this as kind of my new heel, socks heels that I've been doing lately to see if they work better than the Fish Lips Kids heel for me. Yeah, so these socks I started them way back in September, and I put them down for quite a while. And then I finished them up at the end of January. So I'm excited. These are about to come off my sock blockers because I have another pair of socks to share with you. So I cast on I'm calling these the Patriot socks. And these are actually for my mom. This was funny. This was actually the last skein into my stash in 2018. And it was a request from my mom when I was out there for Christmas. She requested specifically a pair of Patriot color socks, New England Patriots, because that's where my family's from. So I went online and bought Abby Grassi self-striping, and she actually did specifically a Patriot colorway. And it is self-striping. You can see this is the self-striping. And then what I did is I just kind of did a slip stitch motif to make it a little more interesting for me. And again, this is the Sockmaticians pattern, Toe Up. These are done on 72-inch. Luckily, she is the same size as me. And I did them a little taller than I usually do because I was trying to use more of the yarn. But even with that, I used about 370 yards. So I have some left to go into my sock blanket. When am I taking these off? These are going. So my socks, when I finish a pair, go on my wall as art until I finish my next pair. So since my Query ones are done, these are gonna go on, because even though these are for my mom, she doesn't need them until next football season. So I'll send them to her probably in the summer, or bring them when I see her at some point in the summertime. So yeah, the only other thing I did is, the heel is a Loopy U Solids in a cobalt blue I had from leftovers from the socks I did for my boyfriend for his kind of Dodger socks that I did. So here they are. Super easy. I cast these on end of January 27th, and finished them on the 23rd. I did a lot of knitting on them on my travels. Obviously, everyone knows socks are great travel projects. So I did a lot of knitting. The only other thing I finished, excuse me as I put, the only other thing I finished was sort of, I don't know. It was, so I had in my Make 9 a brioche pattern I wanted to do with this super bulky yarn. And I tried it, and it just wasn't working with the super bulky. I've not done brioche before, and I think that might have been part of it, but then also I just don't think it was a good mix. So I already had the yarn wound up, so I wanted to do another pattern, and so I picked the Shroom by Lee Juvan, and this is what I have. This giant, kind of slouchy-ish beanie. It's done on like size 13 needles. And the yarn is Ethereal Fibers Bulky and Joker's Wild that I got at the Loopy U fall retreat last year as a, I think I would just won it, or my mom won it. So yeah, I'm still debating if I'm going to keep this. I really like it, but I'm not wearing a lot of hats. I mean, in LA, I don't wear a lot of hats anyways, and I have a lot of hats. So when I was doing this, the boyfriend's like, another hat? And I'm like, yeah, maybe I don't need it. It is pretty warm, even though it has a lacy kind of thing, because it is super bulky. So I might actually put it into my charity knitting and charity gift box and give it to a charity that gives away hats for the homeless. I still think it'd be pretty warm, and you know, can fit a lot of hair up in there if you got it. So this is the shroom pattern again by Lee Joven, and it took me about a week to make. I mean, it's super quick once I did it. Yeah, so I'm going to count this as part of my Make 9, even though it wasn't the pattern I chose. It was definitely the yarn, which is what I wanted to do. So excited about that. So those are my only FOs right now. I have been spending a lot of time working on my Granito by Joji Locatelli. And this is a fingering weight pullover. And I am on the first sleeve, almost done with the first sleeve actually. And this is, the yarn is Dragonfly Dance Rustic Silk. So it's 100% silk that I got at Rhinebeck 2017. And the only modification I really did is, in her pattern, she has this be like just a slip stitch, but I felt it wasn't giving me enough contrast, or I didn't really see it that much, so I just changed it to kind of a broken rib detail that goes all the way down. And then the cool thing about this is it's got these pockets kind of situated on the hip, and I did my pocket color in a Loopy U Solids. This is a charcoal I had. I'll show you the inside so you can kind of see. So it's just a big gray pocket. I thought the color went really well, and you know, when you kind of have your pockets in there, it will work. So yeah, so I'm pretty pleased with it. I actually was worried that I wouldn't have enough yarn, so I had sewed, I already did the collar and things, but I'm gonna have enough yarn to make long sleeves. I had thought about keeping it a short sleeve, but no need to. So I'm almost done with the sleeve, probably another 3 inches or so. And then I will pick up the other one, and I have sort of a goal. I'd wanted to finish this by mid-March. Might still make it. I'd have to dedicate a lot of time, knitting time this week and next weekend to it. But once I get the sleeves done, because I've already woven in the ends on the inside and did all of that, it will go pretty fast. And then I just gotta block it. And I'm really kind of excited. I don't have anything in rustic silk or any kind of 100% silk. It's definitely more lighter weight, but I think it will still be warm. This is showing really bright green. It's more of a muted green in person. I did alternate skeins because I had 4, and you can kind of see in the top there was really a lot of difference. And then that was until right about there. And then at the bottom you can kind of see where the next 2 skeins didn't have quite as much of a contrast. But I still think it all works. And then my sleeves also don't have as much as a contrast, but this is why it is important to alternate skeins. This is what I have left. And even though they look small, it is fingering weight, and I still have like 100 grams left. So, and I'm calculated that, so when I finished all the body, I weighed what I had left, and I had 130 grams left. So I have about 65 grams each of the sleeve, and I've done about 40 grams so far. So no yarn chicken anticipated for this sweater. And this is, again, the Granito by Joji Locatelli. It's also on my Make 9. So excited about that. The other thing is, once I finished those Patriot socks while I was on vacation, I had brought a ball of yarn for another pair of socks. And then this one is going to be for the boyfriend, who is very knit worthy. And I like to, he actually just had a pair of socks become slightly too small from washing. And I don't know if that happens with you guys, but I'm not super hard, but I'm not super easy when I take care of my socks. So I do a hand wash in the washing machine, and then I air dry them, but eventually they shrink a little bit, even the superwash. Superwash kind of wears off after a while. So he had a pair that shrunk a little too small for him, so that means that they'll be perfect for me. And in the meantime, then thought that was well, it's always a good reason. I have a lot of skeins of sock yarn earmarked for him. So cast on another pair. This is Material Culture Fiber Arts, which is a dyer in Southern California that I picked up at a local yarn store last year when I went and saw Stephen B. talk. And this is their Modern Era, which is just their superwash nylon blend, and it's called Blacktop Christmas. And I ended up just choosing to do, I'm doing the Sockmaticians toe up again, but the patterning is Hermione's socks. So can't really tell from right there very well, but yeah, it's got a texture and a patterning, and that's only just to make it more interesting for me to knit. And I need a slightly interesting pattern, but, oh, sorry. I thought I wasn't recording for a second. But, you know, simple enough that you can do. And I have a goal of these, of finishing them in a month. So I actually need to work on these this weekend and get it to the heel turn. So I figured for me, if I can do half a sock a week, have a pair of socks in a month, that is a good goal. So another pair of socks. And then the other thing I'm working on, I didn't bring it over, but I did a few rows on my sock yarn blanket. I had this idea, and I might still do it, of trying to just work on it twice a week. I have worked on it, I think, one day and got like an inch or so done on it. So I didn't bring it over or drag it out, but I do need to just find some time. But I'm so sucked into these other projects, and I have a list of sweaters that I want to do. So not enough knitting time. You know how it just goes. So that's all I have in the knitting. I know, went kind of quick, huh? Fingering weight sweaters take a while, especially for me. But I'm pretty pleased with how this is going, because technically the Granito was cast on the end of January. So if I finish it in mid-March, that would be less than 2 months, which is great for a fingering weight. Then I'll be able to wear it. I think I'm going to try to do a short sleeve next, though. Make it a little easier, because all of my sweaters in my queue are all fingering weight. Trying to get it through. Anyway, since I last saw you, I had a big trip. I went away for about 10 days, and it kind of was combining 2 weekends that were happening, 2 weekend trips, and then I decided to just not come home in between. So usually about once a year, me and my college girlfriends get together. We live, they live in Ohio and Texas, and this was the first time we were able to do that trip in about 2 years, maybe 2.5 years, because they both had babies. So the youngest baby was, gosh, CJ is what, 6 months now? So she felt like she could get away for a few days. And so the way we do it is we put, you know, I'll choose 2 cities we'd like to go to, and then we put them in a hat and pull them out. And so this time it was Miami, and I hadn't been to Miami in a decade. And last time I went to Miami, it was for a bachelorette. So that was a very different kind of trip than this one was. But I flew out on a Friday and met them, met one of my friends at the airport, and the other one, her flight was delayed, so she came in later. But we stayed in South Beach, a little up from the South Beach area in Miami Beach, stayed kind of mid-beach, I guess it is. And a great place on the beach, had a beautiful view, beautiful balcony. I spent a lot of time just looking out there. It was gorgeous because Miami Beach is kind of like an island separated from the main part of Florida. So where we could see is I could see the ocean on one side, and then when I looked the other way, I could see like downtown Miami and the water over there, and it was just gorgeous. So many gorgeous sunsets. And what we do, because we don't see each other very often, is we do a lot of just hanging out and talking. So we did that. We went to a really amazing dinner one night, which is usually our norm. We do a really special dinner. And then we went to Little Havana, which they were having the Gay Pride Parade, Gay Pride Fest, and so that was really fun to go into there. And we walked around there, and yeah, so it was just a lot of hanging out and seeing them, catching up, seeing how hearing about how the kiddies are doing, and how, being a mother at over 40 is not something I aspire to, but they are both very, very happy, and their kids are adorable. So I did that, and then the following weekend I was supposed to be going to Virginia Beach, and so rather than come all the way back and then fly back 3 days later to the East Coast, I said, I'm in Florida, why don't I take the opportunity to go and see my grandmother? And so I had asked my mom if she wanted to come down, and so she did. She was actually there in visiting my uncle while I was in Miami, and then we met up at my grandmother's, and she lives in Lakeland, which is in Central Florida. So I actually flew from Miami to Orlando, got a rental car and drove down. It's about an hour to my grandmother's, and spent 3 days there. Got there on Monday and left on Thursday morning and just hang out. And I hadn't probably spent that much time with my grandmother. I mean, we usually only see every 2 years or so, and we usually stay at my uncle's when we go, so it's not like we actually stayed at my grandmother's, and that was great because my grandmother's, you know, she's 87, but she is kicking it. We went to bingo one of the nights, which is something she does regularly, and so we got to meet all her friends, and I won bingo, as did my mom. She won the big coverall, so she won like 200 bucks. I won 25 bucks, which was still fine. And yeah, just hung out, and then we made a trip down to Tampa to see my uncle for one of the days. And like did some shopping, hung around. We went to the casino one of the days, which is something, the Hard Rock Casino, and spent a few hours there. That was fun. Yeah, so then on Thursday morning, my mom and I went to the airport together. We were on the same flight from Orlando to Philadelphia, and then we were transferring to different planes. She was going back to Providence, and I was going to Norfolk, Virginia for the Virginia Beach knitting retreat that's put on by my friend Martha Knit Crit. I think I went to the second one maybe, and then so it's been 3 or 4 years since I've been there. So it was so much fun because one, I get to see people I don't get to see very often. I only see them at knitting retreats, and like my friend Michelle didn't even know I was coming, and I hadn't seen her in, gosh, it had been almost 2 years. So it was great. And then just, that's a great retreat. It's the way I like retreats. There's no planned activities really. You just hang around and knit in a room, and all of the rooms, she chooses it because it is off season in Virginia Beach. And so we stay in one of the hotels, and I had another view of the ocean, a little different from the view in Miami. The ocean up there, a little more cloudy, a little more rain, not as warm. I actually had to bring a big suitcase because in Florida, it was in the 80s, and then up in Virginia Beach, it was not in the 80s. So I had to bring a bigger suitcase than I normally would because I kind of had both 2 different kinds of clothing. And so that was just fun. It's just you get there and you have dinner and you hang out. One of the days we went out to a brewery with some friends, which I love, you know, I love a brewery. So that was fun. And then when we left, went to the yarn, there was one of the yarn stores in Norfolk that opened for us on the Sunday. And so we went over there, and I knew when I went, I was like, I'm weak. I'm trying not to buy yarn. And I didn't. I have stuff to show you. I failed. I failed. Not horribly. And I have a justification, but yeah, I did. So I'm going to show you what I got from the Virginia Beach Yarn Retreat. So one of the things is Martha really wasn't doing per se a kind of a designer yarn, but what she did get is a bunch of Jameson that she put in a giant bin and said everyone can select 2 of the Jamison's 2-ply jumper weight with the idea of maybe doing some mitts or something. So I picked 2 colors, and then my friend Holly didn't want her, so I took 2 colors from her. So I have 4 colors of Jamison 2-ply. And I'm not sure what I'm going to do, whether I checked out some mitt patterns, I checked out some hat patterns, but it's a good stash yarn to have for color work, basically, fingering color work. And I've never worked with Jamison. And so, yeah, I was pretty happy. And I think these colors, if I use them together or 2 separate, they all work. So that was kind of a gift, a part of the knitting bag. Excuse me as I bend down. Then there was a yarn table, which some people put yarns that were just free. And so I ended up picking Episcane because I couldn't resist of Dialectable yarns that were on there on the free table. And this is Brûlée, which is a superwash merino cashmere silk blend with a contrasting color. But it was the Halloween 2011 colorway. And it is called Zombie Kebab. And it is totally my colors. Happened to be my friend Michelle brought it on there. She has a great taste in sock yarn, but these just weren't her colors. But I'm going to love it when I make a pair of socks out of it. And they're going to be so cushy. Ooh. So, couldn't resist. Free yarn. Who can? The other thing that was on there was a for sale table, and I resisted a lot of things, but what was on there, there were these 2 skeins, and this is Freya yarns, which I've always wanted to get. I see her at a lot of fiber events and shows, and I've never picked it up. And this is sport weight, and this is actually an ombre, which is a merino silk, and you can kind of see. And they were only $5 each. So I picked them up. I bought them. No idea what I'm going to use with them. They would actually, I think, really do one of the cool kind of long color repeat projects or patterns. I could even use them together, separately. I'm not sure. So I picked these up. Then my friend Jenny was vending her bags, and basically there wasn't a vendor market, but if you were attending the retreat and you sold them things, you could set up your stuff. So Jenny is kitchen counter crafter. She makes bags, and I see her at Zombie Apocalypse. She lives in Wisconsin, and I couldn't resist this bag. You actually, it's my socks are in it right now. It is just me, owls and greens and oranges, and then she did a striped in there, and so I couldn't resist. I needed a new sock yarn bag, and so I picked that up. And she's, you know, I just did the thing. She's kitchen crafter. So that was a bag I picked up, and I am going to. I've earmarked a project bag that's going out. It's just I've used it a lot. It's old, ready for a new one. Then my friend Janice from Queen City Yarns was also vending, and I resisted picking up yarn for me. But she had, leading up to this retreat, had created a cool little cute pattern, the Narwhal pattern, and it's a Narwhal cowl. And she created kits, and I picked one up. And what I'm going to do is I'm going to give it away. So in this kit, you have 2 skeins of Bitterville DK. One is On Point, one is Unicorn of the Sea. And so you can say this is the blue is the main color, and then the Narwhal is done in this color. It includes the pattern. It includes one of Jenny's bags and a Narwhal fabric. And then it also has some stitch markers, including a little Narwhal, and then the cowl pattern. So because I wanted to support my friends, but I didn't necessarily want to bring this back, I picked this up, and I'm going to give this as a giveaway in the Ravelry group. And I've decided that the prompt's just going to be, what's your favorite mythical creature? Because even though narwhals are real, I thought they were mythical for the longest time. Like, you know, narwhals? Like, yeah. So we're going to go mythical, even though narwhals are real. And this is going to be open. I think I'm going to keep it open a while. Definitely until I record next, which will probably be sometime in April. Probably right before I go to the Northern California Knitting Retreat. So let's say that this is going to be open through April 1st or so-ish. Maybe a little longer. I'm going to look at the dates, and you know, I'm going to basically guess when I'm going to record this. I usually do this on a Friday or Saturdays, and I'll adjust the April date. So yeah, so if you're interested in getting this beautiful kit with this great cowl, and you can see it, the cowl's really cute. And then with the pattern and the bag, it's just a great kit. It's just gorgeous. And I'm so happy to be able to get it to support both of them. Yeah, go onto the Ravelry group. There'll be a thread for it. And I just want to give it away. So yeah, that is the Neda Narwhal Cowl Kit, and it's Queen City Yarn and Kitchen Counter Crafter. So you think that would be all, but as I said, excuse me, I'm like fixing my hair. I just got out of the shower, so it's a little messy. On the way back, before I went to the airport, some of them were going over to the yarn shop that was opening, and I didn't need more yarn, but it was a beautiful yarn shop. So what I did is I looked around and I resisted, and I didn't need this and I didn't need that. And so what I ended up getting is some Noro. Now, specifically Noro for a project for my sister. This is the Tokonatsu, and this is a cotton silk viscose blend. And I got it 3 colors. The pink, I got like 4 skeins, and then I got 2 of this kind of white, which has the speckles, and then 1 skein. They only had 1 skein of the blue. My idea is I'm going to do maybe a poncho for her, or some type of kind of pullover project. And this is important because my sister is allergic to wool. and to rabbit. So anytime I find something that I like that is a blend that I could make her something with, like a cotton silk blend, I picked it up. So even though this is going in my stash, it's already earmarked for a special gift, though I don't know when I'll get to it or what exactly it's going to be for my sister. And that's always good. She's totally knit worthy, but it's in the beginning when I first started knitting, I made her these wool sweaters. I guess I never realized that she was allergic to wool. Just something as a sister didn't really click with me because when I was younger, I didn't knit, and yeah. So I picked up a total of 7 skeins of this, and she was giving a discount. It was like 15% off, and it was great. And it was, I think it was Baba Sheep in Norfolk. So yeah, so I'm really pleased with this. I think it'll be pretty. My sister's favorite color is pink. Hands down, it's pink. So yeah, I fell off my no new yarn in 2019 wagon a little bit. But I'm going to try to get back on it and resist. I have been resisting a lot of things on Instagram. A lot of beautiful yarn. There's always beautiful yarn. But I want to knit some of the stuff in my stash. So I am working towards that. So that's kind of it. Yeah, I had great travels. I love traveling. I don't mind airplane travel. Yes, it's not always the most comfortable, but I have my knitting, I have podcasts and movies to watch, and I got a lot of knitting done, which is fun. And then I got a lot of fairly decent amount at the retreat. Not as much when I was in Miami. I did knit some when I was with my grandmother. That's where I finished that hat. I took a few hours and I was watching, I was in the bedroom watching Longmire that I had recorded onto my tablet and knitting that hat. So that took me, once I did it, like a day. So that's all I got. I feel like I talked pretty fast. And in terms of everything else, life's going good. Work is busy. My upcoming travels, I will be going to the Northern California Knitting Retreat in April. I am scheduled to go to Zombie Apocalypse in June. I'm trying to figure out, I think I'm going to try to go see my family maybe in May. Debating Maryland Sheep and Wool. I got to decide soon, but I'm leaning on the shelf to know right now. And then we had talked about going to Rhinebeck this fall, which I definitely want to do Rhinebeck again. And then I still haven't figured out like my summer trips. I'll do something with my family. It might be another year to go to Florida. I think we try to go like every 2 years or so. So that might be it. But I haven't talked to my sister to figure out what we're going to do. And yeah, just looking forward to the next trip, which is in April. Got to get through March. Oh, I am going to WonderCon at the end of March. That is a comic related kind of convention. It's an offshoot of the giant one, Comic-Con in San Diego that they do in July, which I used to go to for years and years and years, but then it just got too crazy, too hard to get tickets. So instead we go to WonderCon, which is done in Anaheim. It's a smaller one and it's fun. We're staying at the Hilton right there, which is great. And we go, my boyfriend and his son, and then I think some of his friends might be coming. So that will be a good little weekend at the end of March. Yeah, that's what I got. I hope everyone is doing really well. I know that weather and winter has been crazy everywhere, and for us that means it's been a lot of rain, which is good, but I've seen some crazy amounts of snow in other parts of the United States. So I hope everyone, winter is ending soon. It will end. It always ends. Spring and summer are coming. I'm sort of feeling it. We've actually had a really cold February. It's actually the first February in 100 years where the average temperature was always below 70, which I know some of you guys are like, what? But that's cold for us. That's why I live here, because it's always nice here. Like even in the winter is like 50s and 60s. Usually the 60s, sometimes 70s and 80s. Anyways, I hope everyone is doing great. I hope everyone has a great March. Happy St. Patrick's Day. I will be back probably in early April. Make sure to, if you're interested in the Narwhal kit, to head to the Ravelry thread and enter. And I will send that out to you after I announce the winner on my next podcast. And I hope you guys enjoy it. And if you are looking for yarn, Queen City Yarns, love their yarns. They're available online. They do a fabulous job. I was so tempted to pick up a sweater's worth of DK. And when I'm done through my sweater quantities, I definitely might do that. I'm going to see her at Zombie and Apocalypse again, so I'll have to resist. Or maybe not. I don't know. We'll see. Anyways, that's a wrap. Wait, before I say that, if you're looking for me, Allison1031 on Ravelry or Instagram. There is a Ravelry group for Hollywood Knitter. That's where the thread will be. And that's where you find me. All right. Sorry I'm a little spastic today. I'm just, yeah, it's just that kind of day. Anyways, that's a wrap from Hollywood, where fantasy meets fiber and dreams are it. Bye, everybody.